The word copyright originates from the right to copy. And the first recorded historical occurrence of the right to copy originates from Ireland, the 6th century, where a monk had copied a bunch of psalms or something, and he was given basically a local monopoly on copying his work, his original work. Now, 300 years ago, during the Enlightenment, copyright was a good thing because it allowed for brilliant minds such as Sir Isaac Newton and Galileo to make a living for themselves by expressing their ideas and using the printing press to spread those ideas, such that they had monopoly on spreading their ideas. This gave them the incentives to spend a lot of cognitive energy thinking about some construct or idea, for them to write down that idea and copy it using the printing press to such sell it and make a living for themselves. However, at the essence of copyright, there is an assumption that needs to be fulfilled, which is that there needs to exist a copy. I never believed the day would come when I would actually defend Facebook for anything whatsoever. However, the current lawsuits against Facebook over copyright violations is absurd. You see, artificial intelligence, AI, or generative pre-trained transformer large language models, such as Llama, for instance, they do not copy anything whatsoever. Now, in order to be in violation of copyright, there needs to exist a copy. Now, if you download Llama, Facebook's large language model, and you look through the model and you can pinpoint to a copy, then Facebook has violated international copyright laws. The problem is you cannot. You cannot point to a copy in a large language model any more than you can point to a copy inside of your mind for one of the books you have read. Simply because it is a similar process. There doesn't exist any copies of the book. The only thing that exists are vectors and neurons with different thresholds for firing that results in that ChatGPT, for instance, or Claude or other large language models such as Llama is capable of reciting the book more or less 100% accurately, the same way 25 million Muslims on the planet are capable of reciting the Quran. Simply because they've read it 500 times, they remember every single word of the book 100% accurately. Right? The same way you can probably recite, I don't know, the 10 commandments of the Bible or the Lord's Prayer or things like that. So if the AI and Facebook and OpenAI and all of these large language model vendors have violated copyright laws by reading these books, and therefore they must actually remove the copied work out of the large language model, that implies your brain is a violation of international copyright law. And purely logically, if we are to follow the law equally on both sides of this equation, we need to lobotomize your brain to make sure we surgically remove every single book you have ever read in your entire life, because it is a violation of international copyright laws. So basically, at the end of the line, If we allow the lawyers whom are now suing OpenAI and Facebook for violating copyright laws, that means we need to lobotomize every single human being that ever read a book. Now, the paradox is that this YouTube video is actually an intellectual property that happens to be implicitly mine by the very definition of the term copyright. Because I created it. It is an intellectual property and it belongs to its creator implicitly according to the copyright laws of the world. That means if OpenAI loses these copyright lawsuits, and I can prove that you watched this YouTube video, then after OpenAI or Facebook or other large language model vendors loses the lawsuit, purely logically, I can, with the law in my hand, demand to lobotomize you. Why? Because I can prove, according to internet logs, that you watched my YouTube videos and that you made a copy of my thoughts, my intellectual property within your mind. So I can actually have you lobotomized. And that includes the judge, the lawyer, and every single individual that exists on the planet. Why? Because I own the copyright to this work of intellectual property or work of art or however you want to look at it. And I can prove that you have it in your mind and that you having it in your mind is creating an illegal copy of my intellectual property.